Okay, problem 3 on our revision or reviewing division of decimals is 95 divided by 5/10. It doesn't give us a specific way to do this, so you can do it any way that works, that you know. If you, for example, want to use logic, you can do that, but you have to show your work. You have to show me how you solved it the way you did. So I am going to use partial quotients because that's what we've been learning. So remember, with partial quotients, you do not want a decimal in your divisor, which is that second number. So if we want to label this, this is our dividend or our total, and this is our divisor. Okay, we do not want a decimal in our divisor. We can have a decimal in our dividend, but we do not want one in our divisor when we are using partial quotients. So what we need to do is we need to move that decimal. Well, I know that I can multiply this divisor by 10 and move that decimal 1 to the right. So now I just have, if I were to rewrite my problem, my divisor is 5. But whatever I do to my divisor, I have to also do to my dividend. So in my dividend, I have to move the decimal, or multiply it by 10, or move the decimal 1 to the right. Well, if you think about it as multiplying it by 10, it's pretty easy. But with moving the decimal 1 to the right, I can always add a decimal after a whole number. So even though there is not a decimal already there, I can add a decimal after the whole number. And I'm going to move it 1 place value to the right, and I can just add a 0 right there. So if you think about it as multiplying by 10, well, 950, obviously, you just add a 0. But if you think about it as moving your decimal 1 to the right, I get the same answer. I just put a 0 wherever, under whatever place value, there's not already something there. So we have 950. So now I have 950 divided by 5. Now I can draw my division symbol. So 950 goes on the inside. That's our dividend. That's our total. And our divisor goes on the outside, 5. Now with partial quotients, we also draw a line that separates our number of groups from from what we're subtracting from the total. So before I start, I'm going to write a number bank, make a number bank, or a number table if you want to, whatever you want to call it, where I'm going to figure out 1 times 5, 2 times 5, and 5 times 5. This will give me easy numbers to pick through. So 1 times 5 is 5, 2 times 5 is 10, and 5 times 5 is 25. Now, 25 is nowhere close to 950, so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going until I get more than 950. So now I'm going to do 10 times 5, 20 times 5, and 50 times 5, which is very convenient because we just add a 0 to what we already had. So I have 50, 100, and 250. 250 is still not greater than 950, so I'm going to keep going. Now I have 100 times 5, 200 times 5, and 500 times 5. 100 times 5, I'm just going to add a 0 to what I have up above. So 500. 200 times 5 is 1,000. 500 times 5 is 2,500. Oh, wait a minute. When I got 1,000, 1,000 is bigger than 950, so I could have stopped right there. I don't need either of those numbers. So 500 is the biggest number that will be in my number bank. So I'm going to take away 100 groups of 5. So I'm going to put my 100 on the right side. That's the number of groups I've taken away. 100 times 5 is 500. I have that in my number bank, so conveniently. So now I'm going to subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 0 is 5. And 9 minus 5 is 4. I have 450 left. The closest I can get to that is 250 from my number bank. So I'm going to subtract 250, which is 50 groups of 5. can see I'm just looking at my number bank. It's so easy. Right here I wrote 50 times, and I'm thinking times 5 is 250. So super easy. 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 5 is 0. And 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay, I have 200 left. The closest I can get to that without going over is 100 from my number bank. So I'm going to take away 20 groups of 5, which is 100. You can see I'm keeping track of my groups over here. Very important. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. 2 minus 1 is 1. Now, you may have noticed I could have taken 200 away, but I would if I did 40 groups. That's okay. If you see that and you want to do that, fine. If you just want to stick straight to your number bank because you know that it's correct, that is perfectly fine. So now 100, I can take 100 away. 20 groups of 5 is 100 from my number bank. 100 minus 100 is 0. Awesome. Now all I have to do is add up the numbers on the right-hand side of my partial quotients line. Adding up the number of groups I took away. So I have 100 plus 50 is 150. 150 plus 20 is 170. 170 plus 20 is 190. I'm going to write that up here. If you want to, you can go add like this. I can add in my head, these numbers in my head. But if you need to go through and add just like this, that's fine too. Now, do I need to put a decimal in? Well, I don't have any decimals in this dividend, so I don't need any decimals in my answer. So my answer is going to be 190. So in 95, we have 190 groups of 5/10. That's your answer.